Hello everybody and welcome back to Will's Mountain Homestead. Today we are going to be making strawberry jam, and we're going to be doing this without any pectin. So I only have enough strawberries to do a half a recipe. So we're going to do 4 cups of strawberries to 3 cups of sugar. So make sure you have a good pot, and we're just going to dump these in. Into the pot, we're going to dump our 3 cups of sugar. And then you will also need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. This does not require any pectin, so what we're going to need to do is do what is called the sheet test before we can this to make sure that the consistency is how we want it. And I'll show you what that looks like. While your strawberries are cooking down and getting thick, make sure that you have cleaned and washed your jars and they are in the hot water bath getting hot and sterilized. So turn your flame on and then just give this a good mix and just keep stirring until it is ready to be processed. Your goal is to bring this up to a boil, and you're going to want to stir it consistently because you don't want it to burn on the bottom of the pot, okay? So just keep stirring and you'll see how, it looks kind of gross at first, but the sugar hasn't dissolved yet. So just keep stirring and mixing and it will soon get to the consistency that you want it to be. I find that once your strawberries start to cook down, that it's easier to crush them at this point because they become a little bit softer, and that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to use a potato masher and then just get in here and start crushing these up. Now, it's still not at a boil yet, so I want to do this before it starts boiling. After it's crushed, you can see the consistency. That sugar is starting to dissolve really well. And the strawberries are broken down. We don't have huge chunks in here anymore. And then just keep stirring it until it becomes a boil. Whenever you feel you have reached the consistency that you think you want to test this, what you're going to do is turn your stove off and set your pan off of the heat. And I always put a spoon in the freezer before I start to get it cold because you want a cold spoon. And then what you're going to do is look to see if it gels when it comes off the spoon. If it still runs off, then you need to put it back on the heat and continue to cook it for a little bit longer. As of right now, I've been stirring this and cooking it for about 10 minutes. So we're going to check it here in just a couple minutes to see how it is. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, here's our sheet test. And see how it's staying on the spoon here and it's barely dripping off. That's what you want. So what we're going to do, we're going to use half pints to can this in, and you're going to want to give yourself a 1/4 inch headspace on those. Get yourself a ladle and a funnel and then just go ahead and ladle these into your jars. Now you can see the foam on here. We'll skim these off once they're in the jars. I think it's easier to do that personally than doing it before you can it. What I will do is take a spoon and go around and try and get some of that excess foam off. Then you're going to water bath can this for 10 minutes. Now my elevation is almost 1,500 feet, so I have to do mine for 15. But find yourself a good chart or a good book that has a chart in it that will tell you what your elevation times are, because that is really important. Now I have a couple in there that aren't quite up to the headspace, But what we're gonna do is take a knife, go down around the sides, make sure there aren't any air pockets in here. And don't be surprised if when this is done and everything has settled, like I have bigger chunks in mine and sometimes they will all float up to the top. That's okay, it happens. Just mix it in really good whenever you open it up for the first time. But go around each one, and then after you've debubbled everything, go ahead and then adjust your headspace. And again, you're looking for 1/4 of an inch. And some of these do need just a little bit more. And I am making a mess. What else is new? Okay. After I have filled my jars, I always take a wet paper towel and go around the rims. And your jars should be hot because hot jars, hot liquids. Otherwise, you will crack the jars. Okay, and then if you spilled anything around, go around the outside. That will definitely help later with any mess. See all of that? I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a lot of strawberry goo, strawberry jam I should say, on there. If you have this on your jars, it will prevent them from sealing. So make sure you do an extra good job of making sure you have the tops cleaned off really, really well. Lids go on. And guys, it's so much easier to have all of this stuff washed and prepared before you go ahead and actually start the canning process. So if you have your jars and rings already washed, everything is already, oh my gosh, they're hot. Everything is already ready to go whenever it's time to put them in the jars. Finger tight, don't crank them down. And 10 minutes in the water bath, and that's it. I want to show you something that is inaccurate. My pot does not have enough water in it, and you can see that by the water level is not over top of my jars by at least 2 inches. So this is not correct. So it's always good to have some extra hot water in a kettle that's going and boiling. That way you can put it in. So once you get the appropriate water level, you do not start your 10-minute timer until the water is boiling. And that is how easy it is to make a beautiful strawberry jam. And you can see that the strawberries are settling a little bit above the extra liquid that's in there. Like I said, that's okay. Just mix it in once you open your jars up. So thank you for watching and join us again.